Hello and welcome to the Peer Educator Recruiting Outreach Training. This training will be multiple parts and we'll cover our outreach scripts, how to set up an interview, and our different outreach documents. Okay, so our goals for recruiting. Number one, to recruit new peer educators, so our SI leaders and our different types of tutors, drop-in, athletics, and stars. Inform qualified students that they are eligible for the position and encourage them to apply. We're going to promote the SI and Tutoring Services program, educate students about the benefits of working as an SI leader or tutor, and then market the peer educator position as an important career step. All right, our 5 keys to successful outreach. 1, preparation. 2, introduction. 3, question and educate. 4, objectivity. And last but not least, 5, self-care. All right, so for preparation, when you are getting ready to start making these outreach phone calls, you want to make sure you're in the right mindset for these calls. We have thousands of calls to make throughout the summer, and so we want to make sure you're in the right mindset, that you're being efficient, that you overall have a positive demeanor. Preparation continued. So want to make sure you're comfortable and you're authentic. So we do have 3 different scripts that we use for these outreach calls, and part of this training will allow you to review those scripts and change up some of the wording so that way it sounds a lot more like you and that it is authentic and not highly scripted as it is. And then when you are on campus making these phone calls, we do ask that you are wearing the appropriate mask. They are highly recommended, encouraged. All right, so you want to make sure you're checking for your understanding on how much you know about the SI program, the SI leader job description, tutoring services program, and the tutor job description, and the hiring process for both programs. So you'll be given a copy of both job descriptions. You want to make sure you review them, and if you have any questions of any of the positions, please reach out to your team supervisor and ask those, because you want to make sure that you have that information ready. If you're on the call and the person on the line asks you a question and you are stumped, remember that you have others with you when making those outreach calls and a supervisor, and they can help answer questions that you may have still remaining. So introduction, when you start your phone call, you want to make sure that you are clear and that you are expressing that you are with UTSA. We just want to make sure we're not being confused for a spam call. Question and educate. So ask for their understanding. See if they have any questions. Remember, you are the expert in your job. You know what you do. You know how much you enjoy your job, and share that with the person on the line. Share your knowledge. Objectivity. So remember, we have an objective when we are making these calls. One of them, make sure you're listening. The person on the line may have already applied for the job and they are interested in an interview. So you want to make sure you walk through that step and let them know, like, hey, your application's already in. You'll get a phone call on scheduling an interview. And you want to make sure you remain fair and neutral, stay friendly, that we are kind of selling a job to the people on the line. So have that friendly, positive attitude. Self-care. So make sure you're listening to your moods when you come in for the day. If it's not a good day for you, let your team supervisor know, and the person supervising the calls for that day, and let them know. Maybe we can shift your job duty around for that day. Make sure you're communicating that. If you have a bad call, someone on the line real aggressive and says, hey, don't call me, take a break, go downstairs, get a snack. I believe Starbucks and Chick-fil-A are open this summer, so take a walk around campus, get back into that right mindset. All right, so our outreach guidelines, and we're going to go over a few documents in another part of this video. So we have our call list. After you are done with your call list, or when you're done with your shift, you are going to reach out to the person supervising for that day. And you're going to provide a debrief, so that in those debriefs, you're pretty much just telling that supervisor what went on with the phone calls. Did you have a lot of people who seemed very interested in the job? Did you have quite a bit who said do not call? Any who already applied for the job? Notes like that's what you want to provide. The guideline is how to apply for the job, and of course, our friend FERPA. So what is the call list? So the call list include just the relevant material that you will need to call the qualified students. So it's going to have the student's first and last name, their phone number, which programs they qualify for, a space for any comments, and a space for comments, and what type of connection you made. So were they very interested in an interview? Were they a part of the do not call? Did you leave a message? Did they not answer and not have a voicemail set up? And did you get a completely wrong number? Make sure that at the end of each call that you leave your initial, so that way we know who contacted that person. So if they give a call back, we know who may have more additional information. These are shareable spreadsheets, meaning multiple people can be on the same document as one. So you want to make sure that you are clicking save throughout the time on that document. We have 3 different types of lists. So we have our SI only. So these are students who qualify only for the SI courses. Tutoring only, same thing. And then both. Both is meaning that they qualify for both positions. Here are the abbreviations I talked about, and these you're going to add to the call list. There's a column, and I'll show you what a call list looks like. So, interview scheduled, do not call, left message, no answer, wrong number, and no number. So debriefing your calls. So 15 minutes before the end of your call shift, you're going to go to the leading supervisor, share that list with them, and discuss your overall impressions, any situations that we should know about, anything that you have to do to troubleshoot. So it was a wrong number, it was a parent who answered, they ended up giving you the number to their student, things like that. Any odd occurrences. All right, so the recruiting application process. So on the phone call in the script, you're going to see that we are directing students to a tiny URL, and here's the link on the slide. If they don't have a pen or paper, you can always let them know that they can Google UTSA SI or UTSA Tutoring Services, and then both have where it says become a tutor, become a leader, and then it should say apply now after the become a leader or become a tutor. And then that will take them directly to the Qualtrics application. The tiny URL also brings them directly to the application as well. Applications can be found on Handshake. If they access the application through Handshake, they have to just make sure that they click the link and don't actually submit the application on Handshake. There's going to be a Qualtrics link or just a link to the application. They would need to fill that out. So if for the SI leader specific outreach calls, if you do get someone who is very interested in the job and You can hear them like clicking through the website, trying to get to that application. And they are very interested in an interview, you can go ahead and schedule that interview, and we'll go through that process a little later. But you do want to stress that they need to complete their application at least the day before the interview. If they do not, they will be asked to reschedule. This highlighted note here applies to tutoring. So they're going to be checking daily and calling the people who have applied and scheduling an interview. All right, so our friend FERPA. So FERPA essentially is a federal law that protects students' privacy of their education records. So things like grades can't be released to a third party, specifically our parents and guardians, without prior written consent from the student. We don't know if the students we are calling have completed their FERPA form, so we want to make sure that we are not releasing any student record information, even if the parents say, hey, my student has filled out the FERPA form. On the call list, you'll see that we do not list what grade they got for any of the classes. So you don't have that information. So you can always use that as a, hey, I don't have grade information, but I can tell you that our job requirements are 3.0 or above. And so we're just calling to see if they would like to apply. Something like that. All right, so I'm going to cover the frequently asked questions instead of a group activity. So our commonly asked questions. First, you're actually going to get this document in a binder. So when you get to your first shift, you will see that we have a binder ready, or some extra copies of each item of each of these documents that I'm going to cover. That way, if you have any of these questions pop up, you have your answer here ready for you. So we have some questions that we've typically been asked in the past. So how did you get my name? How can I set up an interview? What's the deadline? And what are our policies on social distancing? And what are the differences between each program? So again, this document will be in your outreach binder for you to access. All right, so I'm going to go over a few of the scripts. We have 3 scripts to cover. Here, this is the side we're on. So in your activity, you're going to do this solo because it's a recording, but you're going to review the script that you would be making. So if you're with SI, you're going to use the SI script, and if you're with tutoring, you're going to use the tutoring script. We do have a combined script. Right now we're going to be doing SI and tutoring specific calls, and when we get to a point, we'll do the combined script. So I'm going to cover both scripts. They are pretty similar in that we're asking them to apply for a job, asking the students to apply for a job, how to get to the application. The difference is if you are making the calls for SI, that you can schedule an interview prior to them sending in their application, but you do have to stress again here that they must submit their application no later than 24 hours before the interview. So that's the main difference in the scripts. So you're going to review the scripts. On your first day of calling, you'll get a printout of this. You feel free to make adjustments. So if you say, cannot instead of can't, or you say can't instead of cannot, say how you would in conversation. the SI script, the tutor script. Again, very, very similar. It is formatted in a almost if-then type of fashion. So if they say yes, use the following. If they say no, use the following. So this is the start off, right? Hello, my name is, may I speak with? Thank you, I'm calling for UTSA in regards to a part-time position of a tutor. Is this something you're interested in? You see how I changed it from what's written? So those are the types of changes that you can make to make it feel a little bit more natural to you. If they say no, use the following. If they don't answer, leave this message. If it's a complete no answer and they have no voicemail set up, which is often the case, you'll go ahead and make that note on the caller list, the call log. Both have the position information on them so that you can see what those are. So if they have any question, it's here on the call list. Okay. And then here we have the SI and tutor phone list and different positions and some of the FAQs listed on there. Once we get to the SI and tutor caller script, you can schedule interviews on the spot and really stress that 24 hours before we need to see an application for them. All right, so mock outreach. So I'm just going to go over a couple of the scenarios. All right, so in the live training, we did an activity where they paired up. One played the outreach caller, one played the student. So these are the different scenario cards. So these are situations that the student who got the call may be facing. So in the earlier shifts, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you may get some students who are just waking up and who are a little sleepy. So make sure you have ways to react to that. Good morning. Sorry, is this a good time for a call? Things like that. If you're a student and you want to know about the policy on wearing a mask and social distancing. Only interested in specific classes, and you want to know which classes are available. How would you react to that? You hang up the phone. Though the student hangs up the phone, the student isn't interested because their schedule is very busy. The caller mispronounces the name. This does happen. In most cases, if you're the caller and it's not a name that you're too familiar with or you're a little nervous of mispronouncing, you can always say that, like, hey, is this so-and-so? Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And a lot of times they'll tell you, like, oh, it's actually pronounced like this. This happens quite a bit too, that the person that we're calling isn't the person that we are looking for. It could be their parent, their guardian, brother, sister, cousin. Someone whose phone number is a digit different than the one we're supposed to be calling. So yeah, what's the difference between the different programs? So this is another document that is added to the outreach resources binder that will be on campus and ready for you when we start making these outreach calls. If any of these situations happen and you don't know how to react, again, you do have a leading supervisor there and we can always help you get through that process. All right, so using Outlook to schedule interviews. This is going to be a separate video, so look out for that, but we are using Outlook to schedule interviews. So majority of the people who are going to be scheduling interviews are the front reception teams and our senior leaders. We do have students who are interested in the job and like, yeah, sign me up for an interview. Again, this is SI specific. Then you'll be following the process on how to schedule an interview in Outlook. Again, that's in a separate video. But yeah, so we have a fall 2021 recruitment calendar where we have all of our individuals who are interviewing, all of their availability listed on there. And once you are granted access to that calendar and can and have somebody on the line who is scheduling an interview, you'll use that calendar to set up a time for them to meet. We do paired interviews, so it's two staff members or a staff member and a senior leader or student employee. And the interviews run around 45 minutes to an hour. So if you do get any of those calls, let them know that that's around the time frame they take. The interviews are happening all virtually through Zoom. That may be another question. They do not have to go to campus to complete their interview. It'll be done through Zoom. All right, so we hope that after this training you are feeling comfortable with connecting with students, giving them a call and telling them that they qualify for the job. So I hope you're all in this 4 and 5 range, and if not, please let your team supervisor know. We can help get you to that comfortability of making these phone calls. They're not as bad or shouldn't make you feel as nervous. I know on my end I feel more comfortable sending a text message than a phone call, but these do get a lot easier the more you do them and the more you practice. On your first day outreach calling, if you still feel a little nervous, tell that leading supervisor and do a couple of mock calls with them. They are more than happy to help with that. All right. Hope that this training sorts out any confusion on outreach calling. If you do have any questions, let a supervisor know. We can help you out.